Passenger, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a lowest downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out there, follow on the final, and as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to re-sequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome on this Thursday evening. As you can see, we're all in the same room. It's the kind of thing that we're going to try and do every month or so because it's a lot more fun, and we need to get together and talk about stuff. So welcome. Thank you very much for coming along. I see that we have got Richard Spencer-Breeze with us in the green room already, waiting to talk about Cornwall Aviation Heritage Centre. And Simon Keeling is also there. He's going to give us some great news, I hope. If not, well, he's going to give us some news anyway. The weather will be whatever the weather's going to be. First of all, before we do anything else, we have to thank Sky Demon. Thank you very much, Sky Demon, for supporting the live stream. A little bit different on the Sky Demon tip at the moment. We're up to tip number 60, and we sat down with Sky Demon, and there's a few previous tips that we want to run, slightly different, but stuff that they get asked regularly that, believe it or not, some people have missed. So here's the first one, and it's called shortcuts. So here you go.
Hi, I'm Rob from Skydemon, and here's another top tip. In this example, we've planned to take the low-level corridor, but we have managed to get a transit to go through Liverpool's airspace. So what we can do is press the Find button up here, and then choose a waypoint further down our route, such as Chorley, and say, take shortcuts. Now, Skydemon has skipped the intermediate waypoints, going straight to our chosen waypoint.
For more information, check out our website or our user manual from within the app.
I must admit, I thought that was a pretty basic one, but it's one that I get wrong all the time. It takes me a while to get this shortcut thing into my head. I go, where's direct? Where's direct? Yeah, that mucks it all up. But so there you go. Next up is Johnny, who's going to tell us all about why you should join the club.
Yeah, we've got a brand new club promo discount this week. So we've been chatting to Bruce up at Slape Airfield, and he's kindly decided to give us a bit of a trial discount for members on fuel. So you can pitch up at Slape between the 1st and the 15th of October and get your fuel for $1.99 a litre, including VAT. Full details are on the club area or your account section of the website of fly.co.uk. There's a few things to read about how to go about doing it. You've got to go to reception, show some ID with your name, they'll verify who you are, etc. And they'll hand you something to take to the pumps. But then, yeah, you can get your cheap fuel, and hopefully this will form a bit of a case study so we can roll this out to other airfields. That's
fantastic, and you don't need a special handshake.
Maybe at some you will.
Yeah. So hopefully over the next few months, we're going to use a lot of time over the winter to try and build up a whole load of extra benefits for the club. So that's why you should join that, and to pay for this amazingly expensive studio that we're all crammed into.
Well, someone said Ian's loft is bigger than imagined. So, and there's also it's one way to save on heating. Dave White scarily says, "Oh God, there are Ians. Those drink the cocktails." Actually, do drink the cocktails.
Yeah, no, the cocktails are well, yeah, don't drink more than one of the cocktails. That's right. Who drinks aviation cocktails? I mean, they are just absolutely delicious. And maybe one night we'll have an aviation.
What's an aviation cocktail? Is that like 2 shots of 100 LL?
No,
with a chaser of UL91.
So the aviation cocktail, I think, dates back to the Prohibition era in the States, and it's basically, or at least the way I make it, is 2 double shots of gin, so quadruple gin, a shot of maraschino cherry liqueur, a small shot of violet liqueur, which looks like meth and smells just like Parma violets, and then kind of the equivalent of 1.5 shots of lemon juice, all mixed up with little maraschino cherry in the bottom. And it's not at all sweet. It's really quite a dry cocktail. It's absolutely delicious. But you can only really ever take one. If you take 2, then you're done.
You're probably safer drinking my cocktail, I reckon.
Yeah.
What's your cocktail?
Well, the 2 shots of 100 LL with a UL91 chaser.
No, it's a great cocktail.
Don't drink it, kids. That's a bad idea.
You don't want to drive after. So there you go. Yeah.
Claire B says, have gas and water with a sparkler. Have you got some kind of death wish, Claire?
Yeah. Actually, $1.99 a litre, it'd be cheaper than the gym, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you remember.
Yeah. Dave's like, I love the way Ian doesn't have to think too hard about what's in it.
I've made quite a few aviation cocktails in my time, and if anyone's really interested in it, it's kind of not a million miles from another cocktail from the same area called The Last Word, And there is another cocktail, which is a kind of a take on the last word in aviation cocktail, which is called paper plane. But that's disgusting. It's like, horrible. Hated that.
Coming soon, instead of the Sky Demon top tips, we'll have Ian's top cocktail recipes.
Cocktail recipes, absolutely. Right, where are we up to next then?
The best bit, served in a fuel drain. There we go.
I need to get one of those. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
But it's like the pilot equivalent of a shot glass.
Yeah, just with a annoying piece of metal.
Little gasculator that keeps leaking. Okay, so I think, is it time for news now?
I think it is time for
No,
the news.
weather.
Weather. Let's
weather.
bring in. Good call. Let's bring in. This is a little bit complicated. So we're going to bring in Simon.
Yeah.
We're going to bring in Simon's thing.
Oh, look at
and
that.
then we're going to make Simon.
I don't think that works like that, does it?
Hang on a second. Let me move that. See if I can move you over there, Simon.
Good evening, all.
This, and then what happens?
Yeah.
There you go.
No, it's Tiny Weather and Big Simon.
Big weather, Tiny Simon. How you doing?
Weather, Tiny Simon.
Hope that you're well, and good to see you. Pleased to be here live this week. Those cocktails could be a whole new benefit, couldn't it, to the Flyer Club? Don't you think?
It is. We're just having a bit of Ian technical finger
There you
trouble at the
go.
moment. There we go.
How about that?
He's had too many cocktails. That's what it is.
I haven't had any cocktails tonight.
Yeah, I believe you.
No.
Anyway,
I don't do that regularly.
yeah, right. Good to see you all. And nice to be here live this evening. Hope that you're all well. Yeah, looks like not being too bad a weekend for flying. Actually, Sunday looks to be the better of the days. I've just put this up first of all. The radar picture from this evening, it quite nicely shows the cold front that's just sinking southeastwards at the moment across the country. See, it's kind of fragmenting a little bit. Now, rule of thumb, when you see these red colours in the radar, that's going to be heavier rain. Yellow colours are the more moderate rain. And when it's broken like this, it tends to mean that we've got embedded showers, and embedded cumulus and some cunims within the cold front. It's one of the signs that we look for as forecasters. So quite a good example of that going southwards tonight. Now, this is how things look for tomorrow. The remnants of that front about midday tomorrow still affecting the far south of England and the far southeast of England. So here I think we're going to be finding bases of around 1,500 to 1,800 feet, tops of about 10,000 feet, and still some outbreaks of rain. Now, following in behind, little ridge of high pressure. Can you just see that little nose in the isobars there? That's a weak ridge of high pressure, but it's good news for us because of what it's going to do. It's going to sit on the atmosphere. That prevents showers forming. So actually tomorrow doesn't look like being too bad a day across many parts of England and Wales away from that front to the south. Typical base is probably going to get to around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. And you can see here on the cloud ceiling forecast, those white colours indicating bases of 4,000 foot plus. So actually, it's a good day with decent visibility. Yes, could be some showers just coming through northern and western parts of Scotland, perhaps into Northern Ireland, perhaps then getting to central parts of Ireland, but they're only ever going to be fairly well scattered. Now, Saturday presents a little bit of a problem across the far southeast. Unsure about how much rain there's going to be across southeast England, perhaps getting into parts of Suffolk and Essex during the course of Saturday. Bases could be at about 2,000 feet, but with tops at 15,000 feet, we might find some pretty hefty bursts of rain and also reduced visibility here. However, that ridge of high pressure is still with us, really accentuated across Scotland, Ireland, and the far north of England. So bases here through Saturday, 4,000 foot plus. It looks like we're going to be getting some decent sunny spells, decent conditions for flying as well, and just light winds. Maybe a few showers just drifting onto these eastern coasts, but they'll only be fairly well isolated, and the base is probably coming down to around 3,000 feet as a result. But generally, away from southeast England, it looks as if we are going to be getting good visibility and a decent flying day. Now, as I say, Sunday looks to be the day of days. That ridge of high pressure sinks southwards. So for most of England, Wales, and also for the whole of the island of Ireland, it looks like being fair. We've got some decent bases around 4,000 to 5,000 foot bases, tops probably at about 8,000 feet, and well broken cloud too. Now, only central and northern Scotland sees more cloud, and then during the day, I think that cloud kind of just sinks southwards, getting into the north and the west of Ireland. But for most areas, it looks like it is going to be a flyable day. Gales getting into the far north of Scotland, and you see that cold front just up to the north there. Well, that's harbouring some really cold air behind, and this is something to take note of next week. Now, normally on this forecast, I don't sort of talk about next week. We talk about the weekend, but this is pretty important. If you're planning on flying next week, freezing levels are going to drop, and this is going to be for the first time really going into this autumn season. Now, let me just show you this chart. This is a chart of freezing levels in meters. Now, this is Sunday, and you see here that we've got freezing levels ranging from about 3,000 to 2,500 meters. So we're looking at the best part of sort of 7 to 10,000 feet. But just watch this difference by midday on Monday. There we go. You can see here that the freezing levels have dropped to between 1,000 meters and 2,000 meters. So we're looking at coming down to about 3,000 to 6,000 feet. They will drop further as we get into the middle part of the week as well. And also you can knock easily 1,000 foot off these for any precipitation. So in any showers, etc., in the early stages of next week. So watch out for that, because next week really is the first week that many of us could be caught out by some icing. Now, weather school completely full at the moment, but if you want to go onto the wait list for the next dates for when they're announced, if you go to weatherschool.co.uk, you can either fill in the contact form there or send me an email direct to simon@weatherweb.net. Tell me that you want to go onto the wait list, and I'll make sure that we let you know when those next dates are announced. Have a fabulous flying weekend. Make the most of it and get ready for those colder temperatures and lowering freezing levels next week. See you, folks. Bye.
See you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ivan.
Cheers. There you go. Remove that. Oh, that was so slick, wasn't it? It was just. Don't forget, everyone. Look at the camera.
That was impressive.
That was just. Oh, yeah. I got a second career waiting for me as a TV producer. Not. Right. Time for some news, I think. Dave?
Yes. So
you're up first.
So, yep. For first up, we've got a new issue of Flyer out, a new compilation. This is it. It's got the flight test of the Junkers A50. This is a 1930s style microlight, as it's a 600 kilogram microlight, just about to be approved in Germany. Our colleagues in Germany, in the Flieger magazine, flew it and took some fantastic photographs over the Black Forest in southern Germany. So it's a very nice aeroplane. The general take on it is that it's a 1930s aeroplane, but with modern tech. So you haven't got to worry about, as Thomas said, you haven't got to worry about greasing every nipple in sight.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah. You go, yeah, you see, we Germans, we have a sense of humour, yeah.
So also in the issue, we've got a report from Brayton on the Vintage Aerobatic World Championships. I think it's a bit optimistic calling them World Championships, but they were championships, and it was a very lovely event, and a lot of really nice aeroplanes. So that's a very, very nice report by Nigel Hitchman. We've also got a report, this time by Ed, of the LAA grassroots flying. This is mostly a photo report, and it turned out to be a really super event, didn't it?
It was a good few days, so you get a good idea of what went on.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And the flying adventure is a little bit different this time. It's by Sarah Nadia, who was on the live stream last week. Sarah wrote this piece about flying at sunset. It's been a dream of hers for a while to just catch that last hour of flying when the sun's low and the shadows are long and the weather is lovely. And she did a really lovely job of catching it, and some very nice drone pictures as well. Yep.
Did she do it in a fixed wing or a rotary?
She did it in a fixed wing, a Eurofox. Yeah. And they used
She's got a bit of a thing about Eurofox, doesn't she?
She does love a Eurofox.
She does, yeah.
Well, it's just a very nice aeroplane.
It is.
Yeah.
Very true.
Dave White says, I've already read that flying at sunset article is fab. More people should get airborne at that time of day. It is lovely. I think I've flown more at sunset and around sunset this year than I've ever done before, and it is brilliant.
Me too.
The aeroplane is now back to flying in normal conditions. The aeroplanes are like, I got you.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And there's also a review of Mike Bannister's book called Concord, which is due to be published in a few days' time. We managed to get an early copy. It's a really super book. That's all I can say, really. You really have to read it.
Is it a fast read?
It's a detailed read. Mike writes really well. There's a lot of detail in there about Concord, and it's really his autobiography of his life, training for Concord. There's a lot of surprising stuff in there. Apparently, when Concord came on the fleet and they were looking for pilots to come onto the training regime, not everybody wanted to do it.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, that's the issue. So you can download it if you're a member of the Flyer Club. You can download it from the website and read it offline.
Absolutely. And if you're not a member, why not? What are you thinking?
Dr. Wedge says it's nifty, but why are you all gathered together tonight? I think Dr. Wedge must have missed the start of the show.
Dr. Wedge, well, the thing is, we normally do this in 4 different rooms from all spread out all over the country. And it's quite difficult kind of figuring out who's going to speak when, and we talk over each other and stuff like that. So we decided that once every 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to try and get together and do it in one place. This is my office, so it's a bit of a makeshift studio. So we don't have our own studio, surprise, surprise. And then maybe one day we will. And we just thought it'd be better. And we, on the few occasions we've done it before, which was Oshkosh, LA Rally, and Friedrichshafen.
Yeah.
It's just better. It adds a different kind of. Well, we think it's better anyway. You may disagree. Other views are available, just not appreciated. Exactly. But there you go. So next story is Ed.
Me. It's the Shark microlight, famous for being flown around the world by the Rutherfords, the Mac and Zara, is coming to the UK as a 600 kg type. Yet to be approved, but apparently it's in process. And it's going to be brought in by a company called Shark Aero Limited. That's been formed by Norfolk-based the Light Aircraft Company. So it's obviously 600 kg, obviously great looking aeroplane, Rotax 912S powered, and they're basically little light aircraft company has signed an exclusive UK and Ireland deal with Shark to distribute this aircraft to the UK. So
So presumably it still needs to go through the whole LAA approval.
The CAA
approval.
Yeah. So obviously any
Well, that'll be quicker at least.
Yeah, any 600 kg type, even if you have,
I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Even if you have an approval in your home country, the CAA say no. That we want you to. Must earn your own CAA approval of that type, which involves spending some money and jumping through some hoops. So, and obviously a bunch of types of you either choose to go with LAA or BMAA, and pretty much so far, I think. Every 600 kg aeroplane has gone with BMAA. There's, I think, one that's the Foxbat that's gone with LAA. So,
hopefully, the CA won't put the instrument approach team in on the job. Otherwise, that could take quite a while, couldn't it?
Yeah, but obviously, and the Shark, lovely looking airplane. I was talking to Zara and Mac's mum of all people, and she said. Shark are doing well, but they're a bit surprised that they've been overwhelmed by the kind of response to Mac and Zara flying it around the world. And I think they can only make something like 12 or 14 airplanes a year. So they're contemplating, it's like the demand is high and the production is small. So, and I guess they might be scared to ramp up things too crazily. But
I mean, to be honest though, if you got Zara sets a world record for flying microlight around the world, youngest female to fly micro, etc., etc., etc. Then Mac goes and sets another world record for like youngest person who doesn't even shave yet to fly around the world, and nothing happens at all, and the airplanes perform, and when I say nothing happens, nothing goes wrong, and the airplanes, you doesn't really get much better than that, does it? No. And so it probably shouldn't come as a major surprise to them, but
But and it's nice looking airplane. It was one of the most often asked questions when I was at the grassroots rally. People are like, "Oh, when's the
grassroots fly-in?"
The grassroots fly-in, yes. It's all right, we can say that now. But it's like people are going, "Oh, who's bringing the Shark in, and when's it coming?" So clearly there's interest in it. So, but I think it's going to be quite expensive, I suspect.
Mac's Shark was parked up the other day at an airfield I just landed at.
Henstridge?
It was Henstridge. Oh, there's a Shark over there. I wonder if I should, but I was too busy and too late and didn't get a chance to go.
Because of course he's taken it. Lots of kids take their pencil case back to school, things like that. Mac took a Shark.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Johnny.
Yeah. So news. We've got the two good chaps who flew the Rolls-Royce Axel project airplane, the Spirit of Innovation, have received awards. That's Phil O'Dell on screen. I'm going to have to read the award he's received. It's the Derry and Richards Memorial Medal for his outstanding achievement in advancing the art and science of aviation. Both pilots, they were both cited for their vision and determination as being integral to the success of the record-breaking flight. So that was obviously Phil O'Dell and Steve Jones, who's a retired BA captain. former Rebel Air Race pilot and race director and Warbird pilot. They were both very busy and did a damn good job, really, in flying a pretty tricky airplane, not just in terms of handling, but in terms of systems management from something that had never been done before. And by all accounts, we know it was very successful, but by all accounts, there were some eye-opening moments, I think, for both pilots.
Did you say eye-opening? Are you sure that's what you meant?
So they did very well. And they very well deserved. And this was from the Honourable Company of Air Pilots.
Well done, both of them. Congratulations, as it were. Okay, so I'm up next with a little story. This is just a bit of a reminder, really, that there's some new airspace that's cropped up around Clacton. This is a screenshot from Sky Demon. If you look to the northeast of Southend, you probably can't see my cursor. I don't think that's how it works. You can see Clacton. You see a big wodge of Class D airspace that's been put over there. I thought I'd have a quick look at this. So I kind of drew a little template over it and made it sort of transparent so you can see. I thought that looks quite big. And then I got it and I put it, and it's bigger than bloody Stansted. I thought, blimey. I then put it over Luton. It's pretty much bigger than Luton. I put it over Gatwick. It's pretty much bigger than Gatwick. I'd love to know how Southend, with its 3 movements per decade, actually got a piece of airspace that's bigger than Luton, bigger than Stansted, and bigger than Gatwick. I mean, I don't know. Perhaps someone from Southend would let us know, or perhaps better still, someone from the CAA would let us know how they managed to approve that, given how busy Southend, unfortunately, isn't really. That's a huge bit of airspace they got there, and it's in a bit of an awkward place for people going to and from the continent. I'm not saying, Southend have been pretty good. I don't think many people get refused to transit at Southend. That might be because their controller's got nothing else to do, I suppose. But anyway, but I mean, no wonder. There was a post on the forum the other day from, I think it's someone from Bryce Norton, actually. It might have been someone else again. Why are people cynical about airspace changes? That's why people are cynical about airspace changes, because people grab huge chunks of airspace that they don't really need. Well, maybe they do need it, and I just don't understand. Let us know. Explain.
It would be interesting to know the need for that. But also partly, it's kind of reassuring because I reckon at somewhere like Garston Farm or Lideway, you could go, well, we've got shed loads of movements more than that, so we'll just have a massive zone.
I want the south of the country, please.
Bad news airport, steer clear of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, what's the next story? Is it Sky Leader time?
It is Sky Leader time. This, you remember Ashok, the chap who built the TL Sting, Sling TSI.
The Sling TSI.
Sling TSI, sorry about that. Sling TSI. Well, Ashok has taken on as the UK agent for Sky Leader aircraft. It's a Czech company, and they're a company. The company in Czech is called Jill Levin. So you can imagine.
What's it called?
Jill Levin. Something like that. And you can imagine why they called it Sky Leader instead. That's the brand of the aircraft. They actually make 6 different aircraft, 6 different Sky Leaders. But Ashok's going to concentrate on the 400 and the 600. They're both in the 600 kilogram microlight category. So they've both got to be approved by the CAA. They've just started that process and working with the BMA as well. And he hopes to have them approved by next summer. Ashok told me that the big thing that he's looking forward to is the fact that they're so competitively priced. The 400, which he thinks is going to be mostly appealing to flying schools, is coming in at £79,600 plus VAT, and the 600, which is a bit faster, is going to come in at 89,000 and a bit plus VAT.
Wow!
So very competitive pricing.
The 600 is retract as well, isn't it?
He's going to bring in the fixed gear to begin with, but it is available as a retract as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's building a hangar at North Weald to house all this. He's very serious about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's a motivated chap.
He is a
good on him.
Yeah. He doesn't sort of just gets on with it and gets it done.
Yep.
Well done, Ashok.
Claire B makes a good point. So Sky Leader also a few years ago at Aero Friedrichshafen made a tiny little carbon fiber L39 jet replica with a ducted fan in it.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ashok, once you've done with those two, if you can have a look, go looking around the factory. If you can bring that back, I think that would be quite a hoot as well.
Yes.
Yeah, at least for us to play with for a little bit.
That's it.
Yeah.
Going back to the airspace thing, Martin Loosby says, interesting clearance from Coningsby today flying into East Kirby, don't fly above 500 feet.
Not above 5.
Yeah,
Gosh.
I've been into East Kirby a few times now, and I've had that same clearance. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? You go, oh, particularly if the first few times you go into East Kirby, it's not super easy to find, and obviously lower down you are, it's harder because we don't do all that like time on target running stuff that the people with moustaches do. But yeah, interesting. Okay, bit of a sad story now, Ed.
Yeah, the National Championships air races at Reno, they came to an early conclusion after a competitor crashed during the gold class of the jet category race. The race had been dogged with trouble anyway. They had lots of visibility issues due to wildfire smoke, so it had kind of been on and off and on again. So the races finished early. They didn't run the unlimited gold category. And there had previously, they didn't have a huge number of entrants for that anyway. And obviously there was an accident with one of the racers in the run up to Reno. Some of the results though that were posted, Justin Meaders won gold in Formula One. And what's very cool about Justin is that he's a paraplegic and he built his own specially adapted race plane. So well done to Justin. That's a tremendous race win there. Matthias Hald won sport class gold in a Thunder Mustang. He was kind of surprised by that because he didn't think he kind of saw himself as a bit of a back marker. But three of the fastest guys who were all racing ahead of him, all they kind of one after the other, all blew their engines. So, so just when it was like, oh, that one's going to win, it's like, poof! No, it's definitely going to be him now. Poof! In the unlimited category, they did run the silver championships. That was won by a guy called John Dowd in a P51A. So.
Imagine you fly a P51 and it's just silver category.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was still running at 351 miles an hour. But that's pretty. I think you remember the time that you and I went to Reno, and the sport class, which is kind of the on the rise class. The guys running at the top level of sport are getting into the bronze and the silver echelons of kind of the unlimited category competitors. So
I think that sport class looked really interesting. But I think it was kind of brought about to try and keep some of the costs down as well. But nonetheless, the sport class is still getting, they've got nitrous oxide fueled RVs and stuff. So it's not like bargain basement air racing.
No, there's a guy who runs an RV8 with nitrous and all sorts of other stuff, and I think he runs at 276 miles an hour.
Wow.
I know. So yeah, that is quite something.
That is quite something. I spotted a comment from Darren Lewington who explained in part why the South End space was like so huge because they deal with traffic from, I don't know, Sheffield or something as well.
Yeah, Darren did say it accommodates the London city traffic too. And the question was, what altitude is that at? And Claire B said it's 3,500 feet. And Dave White also said starts at 3,500 feet. AMSL could be worse. Could be better though, Dave.
Could be better, Dave.
Yeah.
Lots of things could be worse.
Darren says it's been on the cards for several years.
That doesn't make it right though, Darren, does it? It doesn't. It was I think it was the last thing to be approved under the CEA's old-fashioned system, the one where you just asked for it and you got given it. And now you ask for it, you have to fill in loads of forms. You still get given it, but there's a whole load of stuff in the meantime. But yeah, so
is that the new process where they go have this bag of smoke and mirrors?
Yeah, in fact, I got an email today. I haven't had a chance to read it fully yet, but the whole kind of Bristow stuff in the channel is that's the CA actually turned down part of that and said no, do that. Well, they didn't turn it down. They said go back and do that again. You didn't do it properly, or maybe they did say that. But anyway, they've got to do it again.
Yeah.
Other news, a little bit of sad news. Bournemouth commercial flight training down at Bournemouth closed their doors last week on the 15th of September. A good commercial school that would have seen a whole load of people go through there is now no longer ceased training. So that's very sad. I think I'm right in saying that means there's no flight training currently at Bournemouth, which is a bit of a shame, really. I can remember when that was a really bustling hub full of private owners and a nice little flying club and a couple of training organisations and stuff like that. And now it's, I guess, the whole GA flight training world down there is a little bit more like tumbleweed at the moment than anything else. So that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
May or may not be related to their high fees and difficulty of operating. I don't know. Could be something completely different. But there you go.
Oh, Darren's on a roll here. He says, 25 years of flying, and I've never been refused a zone transit. Brackets, because my RT is okay, and I know how to use the service.
Okay, Darren.
I can hear him just percolating away next to me. Nick Allen says, what do we think of the new aviation minister?
She's the new aviation minister. Is actually the old aviation minister. The new aviation minister is the aviation minister that was there before the last aviation minister, and the last aviation minister who thought was going to be the current aviation minister and remain in post is now no longer the current aviation minister, and it's been replaced by the one before him, the last one, hasn't it?
So if I flesh that out, it's the fact that Robert Courts has gone, Baroness Fear is in. Baroness Fear came along, wasn't around for very long, and she was replaced by Liz Hugg, who we loved.
Liz Hugg was around at first.
Okay.
Liz Sugg was around, and she became Baroness Liz Sugg, I think, because she worked in David Cameron's office or something.
Okay.
Had a couple of meetings with her. She was super sharp, really on the ball. Then Baroness Veer, Charlotte Veer, Norbiton or somewhere. She's Baroness of somewhere like that. She got the job. She wasn't around for very long, and then she went off, and she got given buses. Which there's got to be a bit of a demotion, isn't it? You can have aviation. No, you can do buses. Oh, great, thanks very much. And then Robert Courts came along.
Yeah.
And Robert Courts, he created all sorts of things, like a specialist magazine that the CA published just to keep him happy. It was all about
Robert Courts in his Lancaster.
Robert Courts in his Lancaster. Yeah, that's basically what they did there. We should do an FOA, because see how much that cost.
Oh no.
How much did you spend keeping the aviation minister who isn't the aviation minister happy? I wonder if Baroness Veer is sitting there going, I quite like a bus publication. I quite like buses. I don't know. So yeah, she's the new aviation minister. So we'll let her get her feet under the table, and then we'll ping her a thing and see if she's up for an interview.
You did an interview with Baroness Veer a while ago, and she was on point.
She was all right.
Maybe we'll have to dig that out.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, I mean, she didn't really achieve a great deal, but she wasn't in post for very long, was she?
Yeah.
And when you think about everything that they've all achieved, no, not a great deal. Right, next story.
Next story is about Cirrus Aircraft, who announced plans to develop the Duluth Innovation Centre at its Duluth. Minnesota base. That's why it's called Duluth Innovation Centre. So basically what happens is at Duluth Airport, on one side of the airfield, the other side from where Cirrus are based at the moment, on the other side there's a huge facility, 39 acres apparently, formerly home to Northwest Airlines, and Cirrus are taking over that. Can you imagine they've been given a bit of dosh by the local...
I think they were given the whole thing.
Given the whole thing.
I don't think they actually had to pay for it, but I don't know.
Yeah. But Cirrus told us apparently that the centre is designed to become the epicenter for personal aviation engineering, and we look to hire engineering talent from around the world.
Right.
And building the renovation of the building starts this month. Sean Nielsen, the chief executive officer, he did come out with a slightly cringeworthy quote. We are a company of big ideas, such as putting a parachute on every Cirrus aircraft. But actually, you have to say Cirrus have had some great ideas, and they have carried it out, and they've continued. I'm just looking for where the camera was.
Over there.
They have continually developed the aircraft and continue to do so. So good for them.
There's a reason why they're world number one.
There is. Yeah. And I guess Duluth is it's quite a good place to be in the summer. In the middle of winter, it's quite a hard place to be.
Yeah.
So I guess they've got to look after their employees.
They're going to have like free coffee, cookies, that kind of thing to keep the engineers happy.
It's a massive hangar, that, but I would imagine by the time they've insulated it for the Duluth winter, it'll be like the size of a regular GA hangar.
So, if you're into fishing, Duluth is quite good. Apparently, I'm not into fishing because in the winter, when it freezes over, when the lake freezes over, you push a wooden shed out onto the ice. And you sit in the wooden shed with a heater,
and you cut a hole in
the ice, and you go to the shop and you buy. I've seen these fishing rods. These fishing rods are about 3 foot long, and you sit there and you fish for something. And then when you catch a fish, you chuck it on the roof where it freezes, and the dogs that are running around can't get it. And then I think basically you just sit in there and drink beer, and go fishing. So
it's just as well they've got airplanes to build.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, what's next?
We've
Madrid.
got
Madrid. Oh yeah, that was it.
Madrid.
I've got a picture here somewhere. We've just got back from our show in Madrid, Pilot Careers Live Madrid, which was fantastic. Went really well. If you want to become a pilot, or you know someone who does want to become a pilot, we got a couple of other shows coming up. We got Dublin on 22nd of October over at Croke Park, another fantastic venue. And then I think it's the 5th or the 6th of November, whichever the Saturday is in November, around the 5th or 6th, in London, Sofitel T5. So come along and see us. Check out the website, pilotcareerslive.com, for all the information on that. And finally, is it finally?
Yes.
Yeah,
Finally.
it is. Yeah, just a quick one about the Wellsbourne. I shouldn't take the mic, but the Wellsbourne Playing Championships. This is we'll have all seen it. Unfortunate incident with the Vulcan XM655, which ended up off the runway at Wellsbourne last week after a bit of an incident with a fast taxi run that went wrong. They've since kind of blamed it sort of on a faulty ASI, which either did or didn't cause some distraction, and then that led to the aircraft going off the runway. But ostensibly, it seems to be in okay condition.
Yeah,
they've got it back on the apron. I think it took quite a bit of work to get it off, as you can see. Lots of digging.
I think they did well. Well, I think they were lucky that the ground was relatively hard, and because you imagine if that had happened, well, it helped stop it, which was lucky. But had that been winter and had it been really muddy, I think it could have been it probably would have sunk and yeah. So,
or if there'd been a frost, it would have gone straight over.
Well, yeah, that makes you wonder if had it happened during the summer when the ground was really hard.
Yeah.
So luckily, if there was some other photos circulating on the web, and the Vulcan had come to rest literally against a couple of markers on the road, and someone like, "Oh, those poles are really strong."
Absolutely. Good. I think that's the end of the news, isn't it?
It
must be time to bring Richard in.
Let's bring him in.
Let's bring Richard in.
Richard,
there you go.
Thank you for your patience.
Move you over this side.
It's okay.
There you
Good
go.
evening, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. So just give us a quick introduction as to who you are and how you're related to the Cornwall Aviation Heritage Centre.
Well, my name's Richard Spencer Breeze. I'm fortunate enough to be a co-founder, part owner, co-director of the Cornwall Aviation Heritage Centre, based at Newquay Airport in Cornwall.
Excellent. So talk us through, you've been given a bit of an unfair ultimatum by Cornwall County Council, haven't you? So can you just tell us how that came about?
We originally set up in 2015 with a 5-year lease with an option to renew on it, despite what you may hear otherwise. That lease terminated during COVID and when we were locked down, and we were sort of maneuvered into a situation where we took on a tenancy at will to get us through the lockdown period, or face the rather worrying concept of, as directors, having to meet 3 years rent if the business went bust. Then we came out of that and set about renegotiating the renewal of our lease, but were confronted with ridiculous terms, which were very difficult to accept. We set about trying to negotiate those terms, but were met with complete intransigence. And then, out of the blue, in October 2021, we were suddenly told that our tenancy was to be terminated with effect from 31st of March 2023. But we were invited to submit proposals for relocation, and the Deputy Leader of Cornwall Council committed to assist us in identifying a suitable site for relocation, and also committed to assist us in sourcing funding to meet the costs of relocation. So we submitted a whole raft of proposals for relocation sites, but due to the nature of our museum, we're fairly restricted in where we can relocate to. We have aircraft the size of VC-10s and BAC-111s and other large aircraft. So really, we need to be either on the airport itself or adjacent to the airport. And we put in all of our proposals and asked to discuss them, and were met with silence. And for 11 months, we have been trying to get the council to actually sit down and discuss the proposals that it asked for, and they have refused. And we're stuck in this terrible situation whereby 31st of March, we have to vacate the site. We don't have a viable or suitable site to relocate to, and we don't have the funding to carry out a relocation. So we have a bit of a problem.
So what happens if you, I mean, hopefully this won't happen, but what happens if you get to that point and there isn't anything? Presumably you can't just walk away because you've got a whole load of aircraft there.
Well, we in theory we could, but we won't. We're not about to do that. We're going to do the right thing by the aircraft that we have. We've got a responsibility here, and we're going to work very hard to do what we can to save as many aircraft as possible. The very large airframes, we won't be able to save. It's a simple fact. We are putting in place measures to have the aircraft dismantled and scrapped. That's all we can do. We have a responsibility to do that, and we will do it in the responsible way.
When you say, just remind us, Richard, some of the aeroplanes you've got the VC-10, you've got the Nimrod, that quite large aeroplanes, aren't they?
We don't have a Nimrod. We were about to get a Nimrod. And if we do manage to pick our way through this and save the museum, we will have a Nimrod. But at the moment, we have the VC-10 K3. We have the ex-Royal Aircraft Establishment BAC 111. And we have Canberra, Hunters, Seahawks, Vampire, Venom, Balliol. We display 2 Tornadoes and a BAE Hawk. Those aircraft don't belong to us. They belong to the MOD. We have our wonderful Lightning Mark 53, which is currently in 5 squadron markings, and looking at that 74 squadron you've got shown up there, which is now reliveried in 5 squadron, looking absolutely gorgeous. We will find a home for as many of these aircraft as we possibly can. But you know, the large ones, it's not going to be a simple solution.
And I'm guessing that, you know, Cornwall relies on tourism, doesn't it? And I think you're quite a popular tourist destination, aren't you? So does the council not kind of see that?
We are the top-rated tourist destination in our region. We've got the highest TripAdvisor rating. We've won awards with TripAdvisor and the Association of Independent Museums. We have been tremendously successful, considering we came from immensely humble roots. Originally, we were only created to stop a collection of aircraft from being destroyed, which was an emergency measure. It wasn't the result of a long thought out plan. So we're very proud of what we've achieved, and we can achieve much, much more. But in answer to your question, don't the council see the value of that? The answer is simply no, and it's inconceivable. It's impossible to try and understand why they don't see the value of what we are and what we do. We are the only dedicated aerospace museum in all of Cornwall, Devon and Dorset. You've got to go to Bristol to find another Cirrus aviation museum. And it's not just the tourism and heritage that we carry out where we are. We carry out an enormous amount of education work, providing resources and facilities to the local colleges, the local primary and secondary schools. We do a very large number of work placements. We've created numerous apprentices who've gone on to work for organizations like BAE and Boeing. And we're positioned virtually next door to this new spaceport. One would imagine that you would see the synergy there and think, and the council would have the attitude that it was a tremendous piece of luck to have an organisation such as ours so close to their much vaunted and very money absorbing spaceport, but they seem to attribute no value whatsoever to us as a tourist destination, and they won't even acknowledge the fact that we carry out education work.
Does the council have an alternative plan for the site?
They maintain that they want to return the area that we occupy, which is it is a local enterprise partnership business enterprise zone, but they maintain they want to make it accessible to organizations that need airside access, because it's currently groundside, delineated by a fence and a large electronic gate. They maintain they want to turn it into an airside area so that businesses that need airside access can use it. But it's difficult to reconcile that with the reality that they have fully airside accessible hangars on other parts of the airport that are currently filled with air filters and car cleaning equipment. You would imagine those would be the ones that they would be seeking to make accessible to airside organizations rather than a bunch of old RAF HAS shelters.
Yeah. Darren Lewins has got a question. It's a hugely pointing out, you're a hugely valuable resource on their doorstep. Why won't they engage? Do you know why?
I can't answer that question. It's there is no, if you try and follow any kind of logic path to create a rationale behind it, it falls down. There is always a factor that says, well, this is not the easiest, rightest solution to this problem. And when Cornwall Airport itself runs at a deficit, it's supported by the local council. And the local council obviously has its own financial challenges, quite serious ones. So they want to stop supporting the airport. This all makes a great deal of sense. What doesn't make sense is taking one of your longest standing, most reliable tenants, us, who have paid a solid rent every time, on time, in full, for 7 years, without interruption, and you start, in order to make a better return out of your land, the first thing you do is kick off your most reliable tenant. It just doesn't seem right. And the other areas of the airport that have been developed and absorbed public money for development in order to generate higher revenues, they can't get tenants for them. So it seems there doesn't seem to be any logic path behind it. And this is why we're fighting so hard. But the other reason we're fighting so hard is that senior members of Cornwall Council, both on the executive and the elected side of Cornwall Council, committed to assist our organisation to relocate by helping us to identify a site for relocation and helping us to source the funding to undertake the relocation. So our council committed to help us, but they won't even acknowledge receiving the emails when we submit the plans they asked us to put forward. So it's just a ridiculous situation. It's ridiculous.
So is there anything that people can do to help?
Well, there is one thing that absolutely anyone can do to help, and it really is working. We have an online petition. You can access it through our Facebook page, or you can simply Google Cornwall Aviation Petition, and the first result will be our petition. Now, we have over 19,000 signatures on that petition already. We are trying to take that above 20,000. It is very important to us to get above 20,000. So anyone can access that, and if you would sign that petition, that is making a genuine contribution to our chances of survival. I will point out one important thing. It is a change.org petition. It will ask if you would like to make a donation. Those donations do not come to our museum. They go to change.org, who administrate them into a raft of different charities. But just so that you know, you can make a donation, but it won't be coming to us. but your signature is what we're after. So if you can sign it, we will be very, very grateful.
And there's a link in the comments if you want to obviously go along and support that. So
We'll have to see if we can give that a push in the newsletter next week. And
yeah,
if we might have done it already.
We have done it already,
done it
and it was actually one of our most read stories in the week that we did it. But perhaps we should do it again.
Yeah.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well,
I'm just watching the numbers tick up now, so I think we'll.
I think we get there.
Yeah, I'm about to sign it myself on my iPad.
Good man. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us, Richard. Hopefully you'll be there next spring and we can have a fly-in down to Newquay and come and visit and have a look around and support you like that, or wherever you happen to be after that, perhaps.
Well, if we can manage to stay where we are, you will be able to park right next to our museum, right alongside us. So we really hope that we can do that. It'd be fantastic if you can.
Yeah,
great.
Well, we look forward to it.
And lots of people popping up in the comments saying that they've signed right now. So hopefully we'll, there we go, another one popping in now. So hopefully
by tomorrow it'll be over 20,000.
Yeah.
We'll keep pushing it and get it to where it needs to be, and then we'll keep our fingers crossed as well. Hopefully that'll work.
Thank you, chaps. Thanks very much.
Well,
thanks very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, it's a great cause. So I hope they find some solution. And Cornwall councillors, come on, you're into tourism.
Yeah.
Support these guys.
One point didn't get mentioned actually is that the Cornwall Aviation Heritage Centre has not had a penny of public money.
Amazing.
But they've done it. They've sorted themselves out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and like Richard said, they've been good tenants.
Yeah.
So
Cornwall.
So Fancy Hangar this week, because our fly compilation features the fabulous Junkers A50 Microlight, which is a modern recreation of an open cockpit old timer. That got us thinking, what open cockpit aeroplane would we like in our fancy hangars? Who's first?
I think we should go around this way. So we should kick off with Dave, and end up with Ed Wins, and we might have a little bonus Dave White in the middle.
Okay, well, I guess my choice is a fairly obvious one, but I flew in a Stearman several years ago. Here it is. I flew in a Stearman with Jerry Honey, who was CFI at Old Buckingham up in North Norfolk. And we had this fabulous flight. It was midwinter, so it was jolly chilly. We had all the leather helmets on, flying helmets and leather jackets on, but it was jolly chilly. We flew around at 500 feet over Norfolk, which, as you probably know, is very flat. But the air was so clear. It was a perfect flight. It was just lovely. And a Stearman, I haven't got one of those in my fancy hangar, so that's the one. I think actually, even I couldn't break the undercarriage on a Stearman.
It's pretty robust. It's pretty robust.
It's the wingtips you need to worry about.
It's almost like a future flyer video, isn't it? Dave says I can't.
Dave says I can't break it. Challenge accepted. Johnny.
Right.
What is this?
I love this thing. I've gone for the Polycarpov I-16.
I'm not going to put it up if you can't say it.
Polycarpov.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so that's in Spanish colours because the Spanish used them during the Civil War, but it's a Russian built. It was the first, and let me get this right, the first low-wing cantilever monoplane fighter with retractable landing gear.
I think so. The gear is retractable, isn't it? But I think you were at risk of being shot down while you were winding it because it was manual and it was something like 50 million turns.
Yeah. Not ideal, but I think it's. So I'll get some numbers up here. So max takeoff weight 4,500 pounds, 1,100 horsepower, Shvetsov engine.
Yeah, I know.
With a top speed of 326 miles an hour. Imagine 326 miles an hour with no canopy.
With an open top.
Must be great.
And there were none of those in existence. And I think 4 or 5 of them got restored in Russia. And for a time, you could... the Warbirds over Wanaka show, they had all 5 of them flying. The Hannahs used to fly them and stuff like that. They've all got dispersed now, and I think it's kind of gone quiet. But that is a fabulous little machine. I think it was called the Ratter, wasn't it?
And also the Donkey.
I think my nickname's Cooler.
Yes. Yeah. It was called the Ratter in the Spanish Civil War, and also the Flying Squirrel by the Finnish.
Wow.
But the Russians called it the Donkey.
Yeah, Annabelle C says it looks like a kid's pedal plane.
It does.
It's like an adult's version of a pedal plane.
Yeah, Darren Lewington said, I bet that smells gorgeous, John.
I bet it does.
Let's have a smell of your donkey.
Yeah, Ian,
Oh, dear.
what have you gone for?
I can't believe no one went for this. I mean, this is a fantasy hangar and an open cockpit, but it's got to be a Tiger Moth, hasn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's handled so badly that it's funny. It's just engaging, isn't it? And everyone, this is a beautifully restored Tiger Moth out of Henstridge. It's just one of those archetypal things. It's got that funny old skid thing on the back that makes life difficult as well. It's got the Gypsy Major.
Control linkages in this are made of sponge, aren't they?
I think they're made of wet sponge, basically. And you got those funny little leading edge slaps that keep popping out.
I've got a horrible feeling someone on the internet at the moment is going, "Oh my God, Ian Seeger is being horrible about Tiger Moth."
Well, I'm not. I'm not being horrible. I'm
putting it in your
I'm putting it in my fancy hangar. They are so. Let's just say they've got character.
Yes.
And they make you smile. And they make you laugh as you're flying along. And everyone needs one. They're quintessentially British open cockpit airplane. That's what I would say.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I like that.
There you go.
I like that. So
Ed.
That just leaves me, and I've got a bit left field and a bit oddball. But I like to do this, and no, not a trousered undercarriage insight. But I picked this. It's the wonderful little Aeroactive 2. Take a de Havilland Gypsy 3-engine, 120 horsepower. That's about quarter the size of the aeroplane, and put a tiny little airframe on it. And you get this, and it's they only ever made one. It was built by Arrow Aircraft of Leeds in 1932. I like this. I think this would be great because you go. I'll turn up at flying. There's never a chance of someone else being in the same aeroplane as you because you've got the only one. So, not interestingly, this is a sesquiplane because if you look at it, you'll discover that it's a biplane, but actually the bottom wing is much, much smaller than the top. It's the Active's pretty famous aeroplane. It's been around a lot. It was owned by Desmond Penrose, who was a well-known test pilot. He flew 300 aircraft in his 70 years of flying. He raced and aerobated it for 23 years. I just think it's rather fab. And I do like the single seat thing, and I think this would be my choice for a wonderful little biplane.
It's very short.
It does. It is very short.
I suspect it's one of those airplanes that goes, you relax for a bit. Let me try and kill you.
Let me try and kill you, or let me try and spend lots of your money. And then we had a submission from Dave White, who sent us in his idea of a open cockpit aircraft for his fantasy hangar. Here you go. Who was expecting that, eh?
It looks like a tornado with no canopy on it.
It looks like a tornado with no canopy on it. Funnily enough, that was flown in 1988 by Keith Hartley, the test pilot, and it was done intentionally. Flew up to 500 knots, which must have been a little bit breezy, to test some of the egress equipment and stuff like that. So none of your Polakoff super slow stuff. This is like 500 knots proper.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's
not the result of an argument then.
No, I'm guessing at no point did he do a Mexican style wave thing and stick his arms out.
I imagine not either. So there you go. Who have we got? Who's won?
So what have we got in the comments? We've got Whiskey Alpha Pilot saying, looks like an Airfix kit. I think that might have been Johnny's choice. Claire B says, good choice, Dave. I've flown a Stearman from Old Buckingham too. Johnny's top trumps. Nigel Hitchman said, I saw all 5 I-16s flying at Wanaka in 1998. Wow. And now only 1 flying in Spain and 1 in Germany. 3 ex-New Zealand machines not flying in the US. 1 more in Russia. Fantastic. Pretty colours, Johnny wins. That's never a criteria.
What? Who said that?
Can be.
Pretty coloured donkey.
Yes. Darren Lewington says, flew one in the Whitsundays. It was only good because I was in the Whitsundays. Is that maybe Ian's Tiger Moth? Johnny wins.
Must be.
Paul Fraser Benison says, Benji's old aircraft. Yes. Oh, Lewis Benjamin. Yeah, because the Aeroactive was in the Tiger Club for a time.
Wow.
What else? Beautiful, just for a change, Ed wins, unless I do. Dave, no one's commented. Oh, yeah, that's a good choice. Pete Pangilly says the LED Super Solution. Google that. Chris Holiday says the Funk FK 14 Le Mans.
Yes.
Johnny for me this weekend. Young Meister must be the real winner. I picked that in a very, very, very early fancy hangar for best aerobatic aeroplane, which won. Ed wins because it's from Yorkshire. Johnny wins. Ian wins.
Oh, there is an Ian wins.
There we go. I like the Tiger Moth, but Dave has just edged it with the Stearman. Would have picked the Stamp or a Young one. Johnny wins. Johnny. I think it's a Johnny wins.
I think it's a Johnny wins win, isn't it?
Cat Burton said nobody picked the Junkers. Ian wins, can't beat Tiger Moth. Dave wins. Ed wins, but Dave is a very close second. Tiger Moth. There we go. The donkey wins. It's a win for Johnny.
It's a win for Johnny and his donkey.
And it's Ratter Donkey, whatever it was.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick skirt through. We're running out of time.
Yep.
Quick skirt through events.
Quick skirt through events. Yes. So this weekend there's the end of season pie-in at Enstone. Very good idea. Pie-in.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yep. Late summer flamping flying. You try saying that. Late summer flamping flying at Sandown. Just about got that right. E-Shot Air Race weekend. There's a Friends of Barton flying on Sunday, and there's one which we haven't got listed, but which came to our notice. Devon Strut, LA Strut, having a flying at Branscombe.
Branscombe, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For some reason we haven't got it listed.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
But, I've just checked and it is on.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a feeling maybe it was one of those affected by weather earlier on in the season. Maybe they've rescheduled it.
They've rescheduled it at the moment. Yeah. If you're into business aviation, there's something called the Air Charter Expo that was supposed to be last week. Last week, but it was cancelled because of what happened, and it's now going to be on Tuesday.
Okay.
Biggin Hill.
Mikey Springs Across the Sky says it must be time for cocktails. How well you know us.
It is. It's always time for cocktails. Not before the show, just afterwards. I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great weekend. Go flying. Watch the wind up north. Watch the rain down south.
Thank you to Sky Demon.
Thank you to Sky Demon for supporting the live stream. We have another tip next week. Have a great weekend. Have a safe flight. We'll see you on Wednesday afternoon. There's a live stream extra every Wednesday afternoon at 3:00, even if you don't get an email. But I don't suppose you'd know the link if you don't get the email. So
that's it.
Good point. We'll see you next Wednesday afternoon, or we'll see you next Thursday. Don't forget, join the club, save some money on fuel, all sorts of other great things. Thanks very much, team. Have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye, y'all.